What's up, squad? Tony Smith Brass Off Road. Sorry I look like trash this morning. Didn't sleep very well. Had a bad storm come through Flaming Gorge here in Utah, and kind of rocked the trailer all night. So this video is in regards to my Timbren 3500 suspension, but I just wanted to start the video explaining a little bit of the backstory. And that it's not a Timbren issue. They were more than over the top supportive. Their customer service was out of this world when I was stranded up in Kent, Washington. They put me on the phone with an engineer. They walked me through it, back and forth with emails, phone calls, you name it. Overnighted parts to me, and just try to get me back on the road. Ultimately, the Band-Aid didn't fix, but it's enough to get me home. I thought I could get all the way back up to Alaska, but I think that's just pushing it a little too hard with something that's just not designed for my application. And ultimately, that's what it was, right? So a Timbren 3500, although the name says 3500, it's not really rated for 3,500 pounds, and I'm running 3,100 pounds. So the reality is, as the trailer sits, it should be only have about 26 to 2,700 pounds on it. And a standard suspension is not meant for off-road use. Their HD systems are the ones designed for off-road use. So with that being said, for it not being rated, 1, for the weight, 2, to be off-road, we've put about 15,000 hard miles on this suspension that wasn't rated for the application we were doing. We took it through Moab, went up 1.5 foot, tall rock faces, walked this thing all over the place, and it held up until we got to essentially Washington. And the issue we're having is the camber keeps going out, so the top of the tire keeps tilting inward towards the trailer. And you're only allowed up to a certain amount of shims per the OEM, and I was well over that. At one point towards the end, just to try to maintain the wheel straightness, I had like a couple washers in there with the shims, and almost like an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch gap in the suspension. So we're going back to Florida. We're going to refit. Joe over at Tiny Camper is going to put some 5200 HD axles under this trailer, which will have to beef up the frame. So the trailer's going to get a new frame, new suspension, and we should be back out the 3rd week of August. We'll also drop a calendar of events that we're going to be at. Most everything is going to be Oklahoma and east, but I do want to still try to get to the Arctic Circle by year's end. With that being said, Tim, the trailman up in Alaska, said I better get there before October, or I'm going to start really fighting the snowfall. So we'll start planning it out. Joe's already got the new frame in production. We will, refit. Also, lobster season starts August in Florida, so we'll be down in the Keys the 2nd week of August, stocking the freezer with lobsters. And, we'll go from there. But check out the video. This is what I went through to get the suspension straight and to rebuild it. The only disappointing thing, like I said, Timbren was awesome, is the bushings, for whatever reason, I'm sure for cost and weight, and the main pin are plastic. It's a 2-piece plastic system. When I took mine out, they weren't completely worn out, because I do a pretty good job of keeping everything greased and ready for the road. So every Sunday, as you'll see in another video coming out, my Sunday reset day, I grease everything pretty heavy. So everything doesn't wear out as probably as fast as it would if I didn't. But yeah, so let's check out the video, see my pain points, see what it took to rebuild it. Ultimately, I did the bushings, and like I said, I was in Kent, Washington. We have an office in Kent, so I was able to use the shop floor there. When the bushing portion didn't really work, I had to change out the spindles, and that was done in a Hilton parking lot. So again, I carry, some people laugh and say I carry too much stuff, but I carry enough tools to be able to, basically fix whatever I need out on the road. But yeah, let's get started. Let's see what we got going on. Yo! Alright, so we just replaced the bushings. I kept the old spindles on just because we'd be in the same boat. They sent us new spindles, which are shorter, which then I would have to use a wheel adapter. So then we're in the same boat. We've overextended the spindle and it's putting too much tension on the bushing. You see correctly that I have my electrical kit out because I dropped the brake hub and pulled the wires out of the electric brake system. As far as the old bushings are concerned, you do see where they got some wear in them as compared to the new ones. I'm a little disappointed. These are plastic, but I guess that's the world we live in. I'm going to knock out the passenger side next. I'm assuming this is probably going to settle a little bit, hopefully not that bad. And let's knock out the passenger side. All right, so where these bushings are located is in the main drop arm pin, and there's an alignment pin that goes into the steel rod that you'll see in a second, which then goes through those two plastic bushings that I showed you earlier. But yeah, that bolt is torqued to like 460 some foot-pounds, but my impacts seem to break it loose pretty easy. But we'll show you a little bit more here in a second. All right, so you can see the steel pin's trying to come out right now. I've dropped it down. This steel pin's got an indicator in it, which will match up to your washer. And here is your plastic bushing. Now, what they didn't tell you, which I had to call the manufacturer to find out, is this bump stop is the bump stop for the travel, for when it's unloaded. You cannot get this to line back up in that hole. You get about a half a bolt hole without removing this bump stop. Real quick, it's one bolt. The bump stop's got a threaded hole in it. Remove it. You can then align this back in there and add it, put it all back together, put the tire on it, put the weight down, and there's enough gap in there to slide that back in and run the bolt back in. But we'll pull out these bushings real quick, slap this thing together, put in a couple extra blocks. I am gonna, last time I took the spindle off, I'm gonna try to attempt to do this with it on, and then I'll take out all these shims and try not to pull the electrical out of it this time. But here goes nothing. All right, as you can see, they don't actually press in. They just kind of sloppy fit. You can just kind of walk them out. There are two halves that go into this spindle, or this control arm piece. And like I said, a little disappointed that they're plastic, but I guess that's to give them some give. This one doesn't seem to be in too terrible shape, but yeah, let's get this thing cleaned up and get the other half out, and we'll slide the new ones in. All right, so here we have the new bushing going in. We'll just tap it in with a dead blow. Like I said, ideally you would take the spindle off and do all that and do this on a bench, but given the restraints we have here, I am gonna hold it and tap this in. I got a little bit of grease on it just to make it easy, and then we'll put that steel pin back in. So there you have it on the back side. That's been pushed in. These two halves will meet in the middle, and we'll put the steel pin in and align it. All right. So we've got the bushings in, our steel pin. Keep in mind that alignment pin on the back side needs to go to the inside of the hub. to the inside of the trailer assembly, because this flat washer goes to the outside and uses that hole in the pin as an alignment. Outside of the pin facing the wheel does not have that. It just gets a flat washer. And here we go. So clearances aren't that tight. I mean, you see how easy that slid in? I mean, normally I would think they would be a little tighter and you'd fight a little bit more, but here we are. And then on the assembly itself, there's your alignment pin. I did fight this on the last one, trying to like turn that once it was in there. So try to get it as close as possible when you go to lift this up. And remember to remove this bump stop. It's a single threaded bolt in the bottom of it. In order to get it up, you'll add that at the end. Another little tidbit is these will pop out, and that's okay. There is a indicating hole in the top that this pin rides in top of this rubber grommet. So we'll slide this back, line that up, and then jack that up. So, but just remember to put that in there. And again, if these pop out, it's not the end of the world, because the weight of the trailer, when you put it back together, they pop right back in. So the point is though, to make sure this one gets in, or you'll fight it the whole time. All right, so we've got the pin aligned in the top. We're gonna walk this in, like I said, with the bump stop removed here. This should line back up, but remember to line the pins all the way up. Right now I can tell you I'm off. By the time you rotate it in, it probably needs to be down here. By the time you flip it up, ideally a floor jack would be great. Just the situation we're in, we don't have that ability. A floor jack would make this a lot easier. We're having to use a pry bar and like walk it in. But other than that, we'll get it back together, and hopefully we'll be in a better place. All right, well, that's definitely the least fun I've had all day. But we've got the bolt back in, this alignment pin. See, we're lined up. And we'll run the nut back down. Secure everything back in. Like I said, if this pops out, it's fine as long as it's in this one. When that arm comes back up, she'll find her place. Once I secure that back up, we'll take the shims out of this that we've had to put in prior, flatten it back out. I'll probably leave one or two in there, and then we will put in this back bump stop. Like I said, OEM says 465 on the torque. I am in a spot where I don't have a torque wrench. The Milwaukee Impact ugga-dugga it right off, so I'm going against my everything that I know, and I don't have a torque wrench, so we're going to just have to ugga-dugga, count the threads. I did count the threads on the other one compared to this one before I took it off, as far as how many protruded past. I know it's not science, but it's all I got. So we'll run this in, and we'll finish putting it together. Also, a side note, this is an 1.5 inch piece of hardware for the socket. You'll need is an 1.5 inch. Everything else is a 19 or 3/4 on the adjustments. But yeah, we'll throw the tire on and see what we look like. All right, so we got the wheel back on. It looks pretty good. We'll let it settle. Take it around the parking lot real quick. Doesn't look too far off. We're gonna go and throw that bump stop back in. Like I said, you see there's a gap there. We can slide it right in. In fact, I can show you real quick. So, threaded hole in the bottom, slides right in. Just run the bolt back up, snug, and that's your travel bump stop. So hopefully this works. Pretty disappointed that they're plastic bushings. I get it, they want those to give first. However, plastic seems to be the less ideal. I would have rather seen maybe like brass or something that still gives, and obviously we're worried about cost, right? So anyway, let's see if it works. Well, Pulled it out of the shop and just around the parking lot, and basically it really didn't change anything. Granted, I don't have near the shims I had, but we're still riding heck of bad camber. So I think we're gonna have to call it. We're not gonna make it to Alaska like this. So we'll throw some shims in it, try to straighten it back out, and try to figure something else out. All right, so update from yesterday. As you guys know, it didn't work. We're gonna jack it back up. We're gonna install new spindles. So these spindles are a little shorter than the ones I have on there. So I then need to switch over to a wheel spacer to make sure the wheels still work. So I feel like we're gonna be in the same boat. Too much outward pressure, but luckily I carry enough tools to pull all this off. So here goes nothing. We're gonna jack it up, and thank God for these arc jacks I had installed, because they jack up the trailer for me and don't require the high lift or anything like that to be broken out. So here goes, let's try it. All right, so we got the brake assembly off. The bearing looks good, the outer bearing looks good. I had to use a case of Red Bull to hold the brake assembly up because my mama gave me a longer cord than Joe gave me wire. So we're gonna swap this hub out, and hopefully this is our fix. I don't see any indication that, you know, this is our issue, but, you know, fingers crossed. Maybe it's just something minor that I'm not seeing that's throwing the whole thing off, but here goes. All right, so fun fact, the OEM did send us a bag of hardware. So we do have a new Carter pin, new castle nut, and I'm gonna go ahead and replace the hardware on the hub assembly and some new shims. So yeah, let's throw it back together. All right, new hub is installed. This is the PO27 we went. So we put a little grease on it. Of course, this nipple will pack in the grease once we finish it up. I'll just fill it. But let's install the assembly, and hopefully we'll be back in business. All right, so hub assembly is back together. We've packed it full of grease to the point that grease is coming out of the bearing. So the bearing's packed with grease. It spins freely. Castle nut, it's not overly tight. New Carter pin. Let's see if we need a wheel spacer. All right, so we did a drive run to see if this would work with this shorter hub, and we do make contact to the body with the tires. So we've had to implement an 1.5 inch adapter. Again, I think we're going to be back at the same problem, but maybe this will buy us some time. All right, so we got it all back assembled. We did both sides, obviously. I got wheel spacers on them. Looks good right now, but it looked good yesterday too when you first set it down. So we'll run around the parking lot a couple times, let her settle in, and see what we look like, and see if we can continue, or if I got to put this thing on a trailer and send it back to Florida. All right, so I did both sides. It's still not perfect. As you can see, we're still kicked in a little at the top. I got 4 shims on the driver's side. OEM says you can go up to 6. So we're at the end of the line pretty much. Passenger side looks a little better, but about the same. We've taken around, drove over some railroad tracks, tried to jar it into place. So this is probably where it's going to sit. Got the new spindles. Everything's full of grease, and had to put an 1.5 inch wheel spacer on it. We'll see how we go. We're gonna go ahead and try to push on and see what happens. All right, guys. So hopefully you got a little something out of that. Again, recap: this isn't a Timbren manufacturing issue. This is us using the wrong system for the wrong application. But hopefully it gained a little insight on what it would take to overhaul the system. They offer all the parts online, or if you call them, they'll ship you anything you want. They were extremely friendly, extremely helpful, and did whatever it took to get me back on the road. So I can't speak highly enough of Timbren. They're a Canadian-based suspension company that has warehouses here in the U.S., so they're able to ship out pretty quick. So again, hopefully you got something out of it. And if you ever have to, pull yours apart, this is a little insight of what it's going to look like, what it's going to take. I think the main thing is just that main pin bolt that requires like 465 foot-pounds to torque it back. At the time, we don't have a torque wrench, so we gave it a couple ugga-duggas and then slammed it with an impact. We're sitting here in Utah. We've gotten it through Montana, Wyoming, and still, chugging back to Florida, and we haven't had a problem. We are running about 4 shims on each side just to keep it straight, but it looks like that's holding pretty good. So yeah, hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you out on the trails.